Hello and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we begin today's news with the major and top headlines. Ministry of Labor participates in the 6th conference of OIC member states in Dubai. And on the international scene, search for bodies of Israeli hostages in Gaza continue as Witkoff visits the region. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our news from our blog viewers. Mr. Ilyas Moussa Douali, Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry of the Republic of Djibouti, participated today in the 26th ministerial meeting of the Horn of Africa initiative held on the sidelines of the IMF and the World Bank annual meetings. At the opening of the session, member ministers and partners expressed their condolences to the Republic of Kenya following the death of one of its distinguished sons, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, co-chaired this year by Honorable Bihi Iman Ege, Somalia's Finance Minister, and Mr. Nidami Diop, World Bank Vice President for the East and Southern Africa. The meeting focused on development of border lands in the Horn of Africa. Discussion centered on the assessment exercise of the partner-led initiative conducted with member countries and on adopting a programmatic approach to mobilize long-term financing for implementing the Borderlands Roadmap adopted in 2023. Mr. Umar Abdi Saeed, the Minister of Labor in charge of Formalization and Social Protection, accompanied by Djibouti's Ambassador to Qatar, Mr. Dayib Dobad Roble, and senior minister officials, attended the 6th Conference of Labor Ministries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Member States in Doha, Qatar, held October 15 to 16, 2025, under the theme Local Experiences, Global Achievements, Success Stories in the Islamic World. Discussions focused on strengthening cooperation among member states concerning employment, skills development, and the promotion of decent work. At the close of the conference, ministers adopted a series of resolutions to encourage sharing of successful national experiences, to reinforce the role of the OIC Labor Center, and to support joint programs on training, entrepreneurship, and work protection. On the sidelines of the conference, the ministers met with the Director General of the OIC Labor Center to discuss cooperation prospects between Djibouti and the center, notably in its institutional capacity building and functional training. The minister also described Djibouti's regulated labor mobility strategy towards OIC countries such as Qatar and Saudi Arabia, aimed at creating employment opportunities for youth while safeguarding their rights and dignity. At the Sheraton Hotel on October 14, 2025, the Youth Consultation for Climate Adaptation was held, organized by the Movement of Youth under the auspices of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development in partnership with UN Djibouti, the Global Center on Adaptation, and with support for the Pan-African Alliance for Climate Justice. The event brought together 200 young people, researchers, and representatives of NGOs and government ministers as part of the National Day of Youth Action and Global Mobilization for the International Day for Ministries as part of the National Day of Youth Action and Global Mobilization for Climate Adaptation. During interactive workshops, participants proposed concrete recommendations for COP30 in Belém, Brazil, and devised innovation solutions to strengthen resilience to climate change. The Ministry of Environment committed to integrate these proposals into the National Climate Adaptation Plan, stressing the importance of youth participation in climate decision-making. Ahmed Mogola, president of the Movement of Youth, said that the workshop reflects the active engagement of young people in National Climate Adaptation Plan. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment said he was pleased and proud to take part in the initiative, highlighting the vital role of youth in the fight against climate change. He emphasized that young people's active participation strengthens national efforts to build resilience and urged continued support to ensure their views are integrated into the National Climate Adaptation Plan. As part of the day's activities, the Ministry of Health delegation visited Engela School, where they were warmly received by the senior MENFOP officials, teachers, children, and their families. The event opened in a festive atmosphere with songs, dances, and theatrical performances prepared by children, focusing on the essential theme of hand washing. This creative moment served as a strong vehicle to raise awareness about everyday hygiene practices. Practical workshops that allowed children to practice hand washing techniques, reinforcing their understanding of preventative measures. School leaders praised the ministry's initiative, underlining the quality of collaboration and expressing their determination to make the school an active site for promoting health and hygiene. This day perfectly illustrates the fundamental role of schools in health education. Together, we will continue to train, aware, and engage children, true ambassadors of hand washing, a teacher said. A strong vehicle to raise awareness about everyday hygiene practices as both the children and their parents, wash their hands in demonstration of the theme of hand washing. Of course, practical workshops then allowed pupils to practice hand washing techniques, reinforcing their understanding of preventative measures. School leaders praised the minister's initiative, underlining the quality of collaboration and expressing their determination to make the school as an active site for promoting health and hygiene. In his remarks, the Director of Student Life delivered an encouraging message to pupils and the organizing teams. He first thanked all partners, the Ministry of Health, MENFOP, the Red Crescent, and UNICEF for their joint efforts in making the day a success. In the same spirit, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Muhammad Ali Muhammad, praised the joint efforts of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training and all partners involved in the day. He expressed gratitude to the Engela school leadership, teachers, and pupils for their warm welcome and commitment to promoting hygiene, and urged children to become ambassadors of hand washing within their family and neighborhoods. The Ministry of Muslim Affairs and Waqf's Properties, represented by High Islamic Council, organized a major public awareness session last night on the theme, The Scourges of the Tongue and Their Dangers, held on Balbala 11 grounds near the Izzuddin Mosque. The event highlighted verbal excesses and abuses that multiply in the age of social networks where words can become destructive weapons and misused. The session drew a large audience of men, women, and youth, reflecting growing public interest in moral conduct and individual responsibility. The evening featured a panel of ulama, including Sheikh Abdul Rahman Shamsuddin, Sheikh Awali Tahir, and Sheikh Aden Mu'min, who examined the many forms of verbal misconduct and their consequences for individual and society. They supported their remarks with Quranic verse and prophetic hadith, urging believers to guard their tongues and speak with wisdom and kindness. This morning, the Regional Council of Tajarrah held its third ordinary session of the Regional Assembly. On the agenda, members voted to create the Tajarrah Roadworks Directorate, DVT. This initiative falls under powers devolved to local authorities, notably management of roads and waste. In response to growing urbanization and related environmental challenges, the Regional Council intends to take a response to growing urbanization and direct responsibility for tasks essential to citizens' well-being and the preservation of public spaces. The DVT will be responsible for waste management, collection, sorting, and recycling, as well as development and maintenance of green spaces. The Council President stressed the importance of civic engagement to ensure the success of the new directorate and called for collective mobilization of women, men, and youth to meet the challenge of a clean, healthy city. He particularly highlighted the central role of women as mothers and daily actors responsible for household cleanliness and called for their active participation in the community. Waste management, cleanliness, and sanitation in Tajarrah cannot be ensured without the active involvement of its citizens. It is everyone's business, he declared. The ambitious project marks a turning point in the regional environmental policy and demonstrates the Council's commitment to a greener, cleaner, and more sustainable Tajarrah. The Regional Council of Obokh and UNICEF today signed a strategic partnership agreement at the Regional Council's office in Obokh, aimed at strengthening cooperation to advance social education and health development in the Obokh region. The ceremony was attended by the President of the Regional Council of Obokh, Mr. Muhammad Hamad Ismail, Mrs. Bet, UNICEF's representative, her deputy, the Prefect of Obokh, as well as regional, official, local leaders, orcals, and civil society organizations. During that day, the Regional Council Secretary General presented a review of activities carried out under the 2023-2024 PTBA, highlighting progress in water services, civil registration, health and education. He also outlined priorities for 2025-2026, featuring new projects intended to sustainably improve living conditions in rural areas. In his remarks, the President of the Regional Council of Obok welcomed the achievements of the 2023-2024 partnership, notably increased birth registration in rural areas, completion of water management works, and the installation of drinking water networks in Wadi and Anduli. He also praised advances in education and said that under the new PTBA, the Dab'u water supply project would be launched very soon. The prefect of Obok stressed the UNICEF's efforts have produced a tangible positive impact on the community and have contributed significantly to the region's socio-economic development. The Regional Subdirectorate of the Ministry of Youth and Culture in Tajara organized a compelling awareness workshop dedicated to combating gender-based violence, held in partnership with the Talosan Association chaired by Madame Zahra. The workshop was lively and led with passion by young women and men. The event opened with a welcome from the Ministry of Youth and Culture Sub-Director, who praised participant engagement. The association's president expressed gratitude to the Sub-Directorate for mobilizing so many young people and thanked Dr. Hibu Mumin Asowe, Minister of Youth and Culture, and Mr. Omar Hussein, President of the Tajara Regional Council. Sub-Regional Director Mr. Saeed Abu Kamil recalled the responsibility owed to Tajara's youth and noted that this commitment is carried out under the Minister benevolent territory. As part of the anti-smuggling operations, the Ali Sabih Custom Brigade, in collaboration with the local police detachment and the Bias military unit, intercepted a significant quantity of contraband goods on the outskirts of Ali Sabih. The seized merchandise, estimated at total weight of 3,500 kilograms of qat, was destined for the capital. Following standard procedure, the consignment was destroyed on site in the presence of the head of the Ali Sabih Custom Brigade, Mr. Muhammad Mumin Hassan. For reminder, every week, large amounts of qat unauthorized for import or sale on national markets are seized and burned by the uniformed services in the region. As we can see, the Ali Sabih Custom Brigade destroying the seized quantity. Shifting towards the regional scene now, Addis Ababa hosted the African Electric Mobility Week 2025 from October 14 to 16, bringing together leaders, decision makers, investors, and innovators from across Africa and the world to accelerate the electric vehicle revolution on the continent. The event emphasized the transition to cleaner, more sustainable transport through discussions on favorable policies and regulations, financing mechanisms, innovative business models, and the need for a just transition to sustainable mobility. The week showcased local solutions, public-private partnerships, and new investment opportunities, highlighting Ethiopia's concrete initiatives, the launch of nearly 100 electric buses and 150 light electric vehicles, and the development of a charging station network in Addis Ababa as part of its climate-resilient economic strategy. The event serves as a key platform to strengthen cooperation among governments, startups, and international organizations to ensure a successful transition to sustainable electric mobility across the African continent. Kuwait hosted on October 15 to 16, 2025, the expert meeting of the Global Counterterrorism Forum on strengthening international cooperation in handling of evidence in terrorism cases, co-chaired by Kuwait and the Republic of Kenya. The meeting was part of the forum's East Africa Working Group and brought together 49 representatives from 27 countries and international organizations. Participants exchanged experiences and discussed ways to bolster regional and international cooperation in combating terrorism and violent extremism. On the 9th day of the ceasefire, after 735 days of what the text describes as a campaign of extermination against Palestinians in Gaza, searches continue for the bodies of Israeli hostages beneath the rubble. The Palestinian resistance movement Hamas stated that recovering the bodies is time-consuming. Some were buried in tunnels destroyed by the occupation. Others remain under debris. Hamas added that extracting additional bodies requires equipment and machinery to lift heavy rubble, which are currently unavailable due to restrictions imposed by the occupation. The Israeli army announced on Wednesday that its warplanes struck a quarry belonging to a cement company located between Ansar and Mazrat Sina in the Nabith district, allying that Hezbollah was using a site to rebuild military facilities and infrastructure. In a statement, the Israeli army said that the quarry was used by Hezbollah to reconstruct certain installations and added that strikes also targeted a site linked to the organization's Green Without Borders, which it accuses of serving as a civilian cover for the party's activities. All about this, our blood viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more as usual. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you.